Hello, happy Monday. I'm Liselle Sambury. I'm a traditionally published author, and this week is another writing vlog, and I'm going to be working on plotting, like hard plotting for the Blood Like Magic spin-off. So as a bit of background, in case you haven't seen like my other vlogs on this, Blood Like Magic is my debut novel, and the sequel and duology finisher comes out next year in 2022, and so I wanted to put a proposal together for a spin-off. So this is not a done deal. I'm just going to put this proposal together and show it to my agent. We'll work on it and then show it to my publisher to see if they want to do that and go forward with that. So they can say yes or no. I won't know until we actually get to that point. So I'm working on that. So the last time I worked on it, I was mostly doing research for characters and brainstorming and putting all those things together. And so now I actually want to be doing the hardcore like plotting of it. And I will be plotting this duology, both books at once, even though I'm only creating the proposal for the first book. So I want to plot out both books at once because I want to have a strong sense of what the entire series is going to look like before I go forward with the first one. Again, I won't be writing the full book. I'll just be doing a proposal. So I'll be writing the first act. I probably don't even need that many chapters, but I like writing the first act as a whole just to have that whole thing done. So I'll be doing the first act, a short synopsis, and a pitch letter. So I've got to get those done for the proposal. So this week I'm going to be focusing on just like plotting out both books. The first book I need to plot out in a really, really detailed manner. But I think for the second book, I'm just going to plot out the major save the cat beats and then like what the subplots are going to be, just so that I have an understanding generally of where I'm going to go with it. And then if the proposal is accepted and my publisher buys it, that's when I'll go in and I will super flesh out the second book so that when I'm writing the first book, I know exactly what I'm setting up in the first book for what's going to come in the second book. Because I think that's really helpful. And like the great thing about Blood Like Magic was that when I was on submission to publishers with it, I already had the second, during the time that I was on submission, I plotted out the entire second book. So then when I went to do edits on the first book in Blood Like Magic, there were a number of things that I knew were going to come into the second book, and I could make edits to basically make sure that was going to be aligned. Because once your first book is out and gone, you can't go back and add in things that you needed for the second book. So I like being able to plan a whole series at once up front. So that's my goal for this week. I do still have some research things to get done, so I want to do some of that. I wanted to read this. It's 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, Helping Canadians Make Reconciliation with Indigenous Peoples a Reality by Bob Joseph. And I wanted to read this because one of the characters is an Indigenous person, and I wanted to get some like more baseline of knowledge into my head before I go plotting. He's not a POV character. There's only one POV character, the same way that Blood Like Magic only had one POV character, but he's like part of like the main cast. And so I wanted to do some more research and learn more because I realized I knew frighteningly little despite being Canadian. And so I wanted to learn some more. So I was doing some of that as well in the other week when I was working on it, but I'd like to do some more before I like get all the plotting like down. So I'm hoping to do that this week as well while I work on that. And this book is like pretty small, so I'm sure I can like read it fairly quickly. So yeah, that's my goal for this week, to get that plotting done. I didn't feel like doing a lot today because last week I was in Toronto for the week, and so on Sunday, so yesterday night, I flew back up, and so then I was kind of like extra tired this morning. So this morning session I have not done anything work-wise, so I'm gonna pick up in the afternoon and do some stuff. So I think what I want to do today is I want to get all of the character subplots ironed out. So, or at least like as close to ironed out. It'll probably change throughout the week, but I want to get like a very good basis because I have all the character like things listed out, like all their internal conflict and the external conflict and things like that. But I want to make sure I have an even better handle on like how that's going to integrate into the plot, and kind of get that done. And I think I would like to have decided on the Save the Cat beats today. Just the general beats if I can, and then I can start getting more detailed throughout the week, but we'll see what I actually get done. So yeah, that's my plan for the week and for today.
Melody, just need to find my way.
Hello and welcome to a standing update. We are still kind of moving. There we go. Now it's still. Today, I'm not super feeling into working. I don't know why. I'm just like, I feel so unmotivated this week in general. I don't know if it's because I'm tired because of going to Toronto last week. I don't know if it's just I'm like generally unmotivated because I've been like pretty like basically steady. Well, I took last week off, and then the week before that I also took back, so I haven't even been like super steadily working on one thing. I don't know what it is. I just like my work drive is significantly lower. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna end up doing anything today. I did like I had my spoiler live show last night, and so this morning I spent my whole morning doing the subtitles for that, so like editing the automatic captions to make sure they were like accurate and stuff. So I spent my morning doing that, and then I was like, maybe I'll like do some plotting in the afternoon, but I just like, I think in the case of this particular story, which is going to be a larger story than like something like The Newlyweds, which is my adult horror, which is like, you know, quite a short book to begin with. I just feel like this has like so many elements. Like I was putting down yesterday. So yesterday I like roughly plotted out the third act. So I have the first act and the third act roughly plotted out. And then I wanted to put in what I thought the midpoint twist would be. And then I had to write down a bunch of stuff about like how the subplots were going to work out. And then I wrote down roughly what the subplots were going to be. And there's 6 of them. So it's just like, I just know, like, I put down a goal, like a first draft goal of 80,000 words, but I'm sure this will be a book that would, if it sold and I wrote it, would probably also be like 150,000 words. And so it's just like, it's just got that much stuff in it. And I feel like because there's so many levels and so many components to it, similarly to Blood Like Magic and the Blood Like Magic sequel, I just feel like my success level of plotting it in a week is like not realistic. And also because I'm trying to plot the second book at the same time, so I haven't even gotten to the second book yet. Like I know roughly what the second book is going to be about, but I haven't even gotten yet to like hopping over to plot there. And like my plan was that I was going to plot everything this week. Next week I was going to be writing a rough draft of everything, and then the next week I was going to take off because I have to like prepare for a webinar that I'm going to be doing, or a workshop with Fold, which is the Festival of Literary Diversity here in Canada / Toronto. I'll put a link below, like if you want to register for the workshop. It's about social media for writers, and that's going to be on October 9th, I believe, and it's a free workshop, so I'll put that down below if you want to join. But I'm going to be having that, so I need to prep for that too, and I'm just like realizing that it's deeply unrealistic to expect that I'm going to plot this entire series in a week. It's not going to happen. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend into next week to work on plotting. So I'll probably do this for a couple weeks. Instead of like the 2-week go around that I had planned. And I don't know whether I'll post these all as one vlog or as I'll do them as 2 separate vlogs. We'll see how I feel. But I just like, it's become unrealistic to do that, and I have to do quite a bit more research for this book. I don't need that much research to plot it, but I was doing some already, and I just like, there's so many components I've made it so complicated because this is how I am with fantasy. I made it so complicated, and now I just like I have so many things to think about, and the idea of like having to like force myself to like figure that all out basically in the next like 3 days, like I can't do that. Like I need time to waffle on it and to think about it and to think about the way the different scenes are going to work together and all of that. So I just don't super see it being finished in this timeline. And I think knowing that I'm going to be doing it in a 2-week timeline, or maybe even a 3 or 4 week timeline, because truly I have a lot of time to get this proposal ready. I may just like thinking of it that way, I think will give me some release in feeling that I don't have to do everything. I think I need to give myself a lot more flexibility with this project, especially because I know I have like, for example, like I could propose this really at any time next year. I don't even need to have it done now. I could do this proposal, I could hand that in anytime next year, and that would still be early. So I can like release myself from that knowing I can do that. And so I don't really need to rush. I'm really only working on this now because I didn't have anything else going on, so I'm filling space because I haven't gotten all my feedback back for my adult horror, which is really what I want to actually like focus on getting done. And I know I'm going to have edits for Butcher Birds, which is my 3rd book, coming in October, September, around that time. So I'm just like, I don't want to pre-burn myself out before I have to do something that's actually contracted on something that like I don't need to go this hard on right at this moment. So I'm releasing myself. I'm going to chill and maybe like watch a movie, and like maybe at most like work-wise what I'll do is I blotted out the like chapter section, so like stuff I've already planned out, I might just shove it in that chapter section. But I think that's all I'm going to be doing for today.
So when I fall behind, just give me one more day to regret the word I could never say. I'm drowning with the past, ocean of yesterday.
I feel like this week, what I should have spent the week doing was getting my life in order. And then when my life was in order, then I should have started working on something. Instead, I thought I could just pop back over here after like nearly a week of being gone and traveling and dealing with the anxiety of flying, and just like jump back into the routine that I had spent so long creating for myself. And that is not what happened. So one, my life is a mess. Not really, but like I haven't unpacked really anything. So I have this backpack in my bedroom full of stuff. My desk is a mess. My entire like desk area is super messy. I have nothing put away. I have nothing arranged. There's all this like Cricut stuff everywhere because I decided that my time was best spent labeling my spices, though it is very satisfying and I'm very happy to have all my spices labeled. And the desk treadmill I've been on precisely like twice this week, which is fine. Like, I know that like normal people probably don't like guilt themselves over not walking 10,000 steps a day. So it's fine. 2 days is still better than no days. But I just feel like my routine is still thrown off. And so I'm like kind of working on things, but I'm not super committed. And I also think this is an issue with kind of my own personal scheduling. Like, knowing that this really doesn't even need to get done until next year. And even then, like, because of non-compete clauses even if we sold the spin-off, it wouldn't be able to be published until 2025. So it's like, why am I rushing around to do something so fast? So I think it's like, it's sort of an issue of drive, because there's not any real urgency with this, but also I just think that I didn't set myself up with a good base. I didn't set myself up with a good like floor to stand on to go into this week, and so everything was just, you know, and it's like it's gloomy, which is interesting because I actually do like the weather aesthetically, looking at the gloominess, but I've lost so much motivation, and so that didn't help. So it's just been a kind of a messy week. I think I went into this week thinking that I was going to accomplish so much, and I've been given a very harsh dose of reality. And I do think it's interesting because I can have something like, you know, my adult horror, in which I like drafted the whole thing in 8 days, I edited the whole thing in 5 days, and I'm like ready to go because I set myself that deadline of I need to send it to betas now because I need to get it to my agent to a certain time in order for us to have edits ready to go on submission in the next year. And so there was a greater, I think, degree of like, okay, you actually need to get this done versus my proposal is like what I'm doing because it seemed weird to do nothing. And I think I'm coming to understand that that is not a great way to like motivate myself, but also it's just like there isn't any urgency, so then there isn't any need to rush forward. And so I think it's interesting for me personally to see the times when I can like burn through a project and the times where I'm like, no, this is not the way this is going. But again, as I talked about in the last talking clip, it is a more complicated book. But anyway, so what did I get done after all this preamble? So I very roughly planned out all the chapters. So basically what's going to happen in every chapter. So I basically have all the beats ready, but I decided on all my subplots, and I planned out much better one subplot. And so I still have 5 subplots that I need to plan out properly. And then once those subplots are planned out properly, I can actually accurately plan out the chapters for the middle section of the book, and then everything else will come together a lot better. It's just that those things are really like not in order. But the good thing about this book is because it's a spin-off, I already have this world and this magic system established. So I don't have to figure out the world building, and I don't have to figure out the magic system. So what I'm focusing on entirely really is character. And I can't remember if I said this before, but there is like an Indigenous character in this book, which I like, as a Canadian, I feel really like shitty and remiss for not previously having Indigenous characters in my books. And so I've been doing a lot of research because I realized I really didn't know very much, which is also another point of shame as a Canadian, but I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to learn more. As I've said before, ain't nobody born woke, so you gotta like learn things and get better. So I've been doing that. And speaking of that, I read this. I can't remember if I introduced this book in the beginning or not, but it is 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act, Helping Canadians Make Reconciliation with Indigenous Peoples a Reality by Bob Joseph. This was really good. I learned a lot from this because I really wasn't familiar with the Indian Act. I really wasn't familiar with the things in it. And I thought this would be like a really good base for understanding, for going into writing this character. Yeah, really happy that I read this book. I have some more things I want to read. This also includes the 94 calls to action from the National Center of Truth and Reconciliation, which I also had wanted to read through, so I'm glad I read through that. And then I want to read through some more like fiction books. And then this weekend I'm gonna head to the library, and I'm also gonna get some books, so I'm basically gonna be doing like reading, research, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I did some of that this week, so that was an accomplishment that I was happy about. So that's good. So I think I'm just gonna end up kind of taking my time as I go through this proposal and this plotting. And I'm all right with taking more time for plotting because I know that once I have everything very meticulously planned out, the drafting, especially because it's a proposal, I'm only drafting the first act, like that drafting is going to happen so fast. And like once I have a really detailed chapter summary, like doing a synopsis is going to be so fast. And so I just feel like I could probably do like basically like everything that is part of the proposal very easily within a week, and I just need to take more time to actually get this planning solid and down and take the time to do my research and get everything done. This is really, I think I've just accepted not the sort of thing that I can do quickly and so it's okay if I have to work on it for several weeks. So there's that. Oh, also something else I've been reading. This is unrelated, but I've been reading Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I'm only like 50 pages in or something like that. But it's really cool because it's like, it takes place in an IKEA-like store. And so it's like got all this super cool kitschy stuff. Like it's got this like map and things like that. And Kevin from Kevin the Writer is reading it too. He actually already finished it. So I want to finish mine so that we can chat about it. So that's like other reading that I've done this week. So some reading has gotten done, which is nice. But yeah, I also need to rejig my entire writing schedule because one, I need to make time for working on this workshop. I actually did some of that this week as well. The workshop I'm going to be doing with Fold, talking about social media for writers. I planned out I did my sketching out of like half of that, so that was great because I wasn't even supposed to start working on that until next week. So next week is gonna be, not next week, the week after is really devoted solely to it. Though I will be doing some work next week. But my editor basically told me when she's going to be getting edits back to me for Butcherbirds, which is my 2023 book. And so I need to rejig everything to make room for the fact that I am going to be working on that book now. And so I need to fix all of my plans because stuff I was going to do in that period I can't do now because I need to work on I need to focus always first and foremost on my contracted books, so I need to do that. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do for Nano anymore. I had an idea of what I was gonna do for Nano, and now everything is like wide up in the air. So I feel like I'm gonna be deciding what to do for Nano like the day before Nano starts. So that's gonna be wild. I might not have time for Preptober. I think I'll probably be like planning for Nano during Nano, so that's gonna be wild. But yeah, I will do Nano in some sort of iteration. So yeah, that's really it for updates. This was a very long update. This is probably more than half of the video update. But I had a lot to say and a lot to update on, but essentially the goal of plotting the entirety of the Blood Like Magic spinoff for 2 books, which again, I don't even know why I thought I could do in a week, is definitely not happening for a week. I actually don't even think I'm gonna end up plotting out the second book before I finish this proposal. I think I'm just gonna plot out the first book and finish the proposal, and then if the proposal gets accepted, I can go into plotting out the second book and I can just edit things in the first one when I go to draft the first one. So yeah, all sorts of plans changing. I'm learning this week really to be very realistic about what I can actually do and then also what I actually need to get done, because sometimes I'm like putting super harsh deadlines on myself for literally no reason, and I just need to calm down. I need to calm down. So that's the end of this writing vlog. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!